The golden glow of the evening sun stretched across the quiet suburban street. Birds chirped in the distance, and the faint hum of cicadas filled the air. The neighborhood looked peaceful, children playing in backyards, porch lights flickering on as families prepared for dinner. But peace was a luxury that didn't belong to everyone. On the curb across from a neatly painted two-story house sat a girl, barely 16. Her jeans were torn at the knees, her hoodie stained, and her sneakers scuffed from miles of walking. A heavy backpack slumped against her side. Her face carried dirt and dried tears, but it wasn't the grime that caught attention, it was her eyes. They looked hollow, as if she had been carrying more than just the weight of her bag. She wrapped her arms around her knees, staring blankly at the pavement. The world around her moved on as if she didn't exist. Across the street, a little girl in a sky-blue dress held her father's hand. She had blonde hair tied with a ribbon, and her innocent eyes wandered curiously around the neighborhood. As they approached their house, the little girl's gaze froze on the figure sitting on the curb. "Daddy," she whispered, tugging at his hand, "why is that girl sitting there?" Her father followed her gaze. He saw the teenager, dirty, broken, alone. His first instinct was to pull his daughter inside quickly. This was suburbia, after all. Strangers on the curb rarely meant good news. "Sweetheart," he said softly, crouching down to her level, "let's go inside. It's dinner time." But the little girl shook her head. She pointed with her tiny finger. "Daddy, she's sad. Look at her. Can't we help her?" The father hesitated. He looked again at the girl sitting on the curb. She wasn't begging for money. She wasn't holding a sign. She wasn't even looking at them. She was just broken. "Maybe she's waiting for someone," he said, trying to reassure his daughter. But children have a way of seeing things adults often ignore. The little girl tugged his hand again. "No, Daddy, she doesn't have anyone. Look at her eyes." The father turned back. For a moment, their eyes met. And in that split second, he saw something: fear, exhaustion, desperation. But most of all, he saw the silent scream of someone who hadn't been seen or heard in a very long time. He sighed. He didn't want to involve his daughter in something unsafe. But something inside told him to at least check. Holding his little girl's hand tightly, he walked over. "Hey there," he said gently. "Are you okay?" The teenager blinked, slowly lifting her head. Her lips trembled, but no words came out. She looked at him, then at the little girl, whose wide blue eyes stared at her with pure concern. She started, but her voice cracked. She looked down again, ashamed. "I don't have anywhere to go." The little girl gasped. "Daddy, we have to help her." The father swallowed. He crouched down beside the curb, now eye level with the stranger. Up close, she looked even younger. Just a child herself, though life had clearly stolen parts of her childhood. "Where are your parents?" he asked softly, her hands clenched into fists. She shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. "Nowhere. They don't want me anymore." The father's heart sank. His daughter squeezed his hand tighter, her little face full of determination. "She can come with us, Daddy. Please." The man hesitated. This wasn't a decision to make lightly. But as he looked at the girl again, her trembling lips, her wounded spirit, he realized something. Maybe fate had put her here for a reason. He offered a small smile. "Come on, let's get you something to eat. You look like you could use it." For the first time, the girl's eyes flickered with a hint of relief. Slowly, she nodded. The little girl clapped her hands in joy and ran ahead, pulling her father toward the porch. The teenager stood up slowly, gripping her backpack, as though afraid that if she let go, she would lose the last piece of her world. She followed them hesitantly, one step at a time, into the warm glow of the house that promised something she hadn't felt in years: hope. But what none of them knew was that bringing her inside that house would uncover secrets buried deep in the past, and change all of their lives forever. The warmth of the living room wrapped around the teenager like a blanket she hadn't felt in years. The smell of baked chicken and mashed potatoes filled the air, making her stomach twist with hunger. She hadn't eaten a real meal in days. The father guided her inside gently, while the little girl proudly announced, "Daddy, we found her. She's going to eat with us." The teenager clutched the straps of her backpack nervously, her shoulders tense. She didn't feel like she belonged here. The neat rugs, family portraits on the wall, and soft glow of lamps all screamed of a life she never had. "Take a seat," the father said kindly, pulling out a chair at the dining table. She sat slowly, her eyes darting around as if someone might throw her out any moment. The little girl sat next to her, swinging her legs under the chair, smiling brightly. "What's your name?" she asked innocently. The teenager hesitated, her lips parted, but no sound came. Finally, in a whisper, she said, "Emily." The little girl beamed. "Hi, Emily. I'm Lily. You can be my friend." For the first time that day, Emily's lips twitched into the faintest smile. It wasn't much, but it was real. The father placed a plate of food in front of her. Emily stared at it, her hands trembling. She hadn't been served like this in a long time. At first, she hesitated, as though unsure if she was allowed. But the scent was overwhelming. With shaking hands, she picked up the fork and took a bite. Her throat tightened, tears threatening to spill. It wasn't just food, it was kindness. The father watched quietly, realizing this girl had gone far too long without anyone caring for her. After dinner, Emily excused herself to the porch. She sat on the swing, gripping the edges tightly, staring at the stars. The father joined her after a while, his expression soft. "You don't have to tell me anything if you're not ready," he said. "But if you want to talk, I'll listen." Emily's chest rose and fell with shaky breaths. Finally, she whispered, "My mom left when I was little. My dad," she paused, her voice breaking, "he drinks. He hits. He told me to leave last week. Said I was a burden. I haven't been home since." The father closed his eyes, pain flooding through him. "No child should ever have to live through that. Emily," he said gently, "you're not a burden. You never were." Her tears spilled then, streaming down her face. For the first time in years, someone had told her words she desperately needed to hear. Days turned into weeks. Emily slowly adjusted to the family's kindness. She helped with chores, played with Lily, and began to smile more often. But the shadows of her past still lingered. One evening, as the family was preparing dinner, a loud knock shook the door. The father opened it, only to find a man standing there, angry, disheveled, and reeking of alcohol. His eyes narrowed when he saw Emily inside. "There you are," he bellowed. "You think you can just run away? You're coming with me." Emily froze, her entire body trembling. Lily clung to her father's leg, frightened. The father stepped forward firmly. "She's not going anywhere with you." The man sneered. "She's my daughter. You've got no right to keep her." Emily's heart pounded. She wanted to run, to hide, but her legs wouldn't move. She could still hear the echoes of every slap, every insult, every drunken rage. The father's voice hardened. "No child deserves to be treated the way you treated her. If you cared about her, she wouldn't be sitting on the streets." The man's face twisted with fury, but before he could step inside, flashing lights appeared outside. A police car pulled up, summoned earlier by a neighbor who had noticed the shouting. Two officers approached quickly. The father stepped aside, letting them handle it. Emily's father tried to fight, yelling about his rights, but the truth was clear. The officers took him away, his shouts fading into the night. Emily stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. She felt guilty, afraid, and broken all at once. But then Lily grabbed her hand tightly. "You're safe now," Lily whispered. "Daddy won't let anyone hurt you again." Emily dropped to her knees, hugging the little girl, sobbing uncontrollably. For the first time in her life, she felt what family could mean, not blood, not obligation, but love and protection. Months passed. Court hearings were held, and Emily's father was ordered into rehab. Social workers got involved, But something unexpected happened. Emily's guardianship was offered to the very man who had opened his home that night. He agreed without hesitation. The papers were signed, and Emily officially became part of their family. On a warm spring afternoon, Emily sat on the porch swing once again, but this time she wasn't alone. Lily was beside her, giggling as they shared a bowl of ice cream. The father was mowing the lawn, occasionally glancing over with a proud smile. Emily leaned back, looking up at the sky. For so long, she had believed she was unwanted, unloved, and invisible. But fate had placed her on that curb outside the right house, at the right time. She had been found, and she would never be lost again.